This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Today's Two Bad Hombres episode is brought to you by The Athletic, premium coverage for passionate Detroit sports fans. Listeners of this podcast can save 30% off the first year of an annual subscription by going and visiting theathletic.com/DSP. Don't miss out on great in-depth features. They got writers covering all the major Detroit sports events. Go visit theathletic.com/DSP, subscribe, and save 30% off.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs, I don't get time. I don't get time. I don't get time.
We are still not tired, and I still do not watch the FIFA World Cup either. I am your host, Vito Geronimo Chirco, alongside my usual psychic and broadcast partner and fun. That is Doc from Doc and Jack, John Charles McElroon. John, how are you doing?
Vito, welcome to the weekend. I enjoyed myself 3 good days off for the 4th of July. Looking forward to podcasting with you, kind sir. We got a great guest this week, future star maybe at FS1, somebody that I saw on the Colin Cowherd show, somebody doing some big things. And you always knew Rashad would be a big media superstar, and thank goodness you got a good connection.
Well, I helped make him into a media darling, as I like to put it, because I had him on my campus radio show at Detroit Mercy and my internet radio show before that even happened, before anybody else even touched the guy, and had him on, I think, their airwaves. So, you know what? Maybe he should... Nah, I'm joking here. But I'm going to thank him for always being a great guest as well, because he's always brought great insight. So I always thought he had it made, had that in him to make that leap to stardom. And I think he's becoming that, realizing that more and more by the day. And I mean, look at his Twitter handle. It's been blowing up. RP3 Natural on Twitter. I mean, you see all these people that are following Rashad Phillips now, left and right. And because of his great insight that he provided, the Colin Cowherd show, the herd of Colin Cowherd on FS1, a week ago? I had missed out. I watch that show every single day, really, when he's on, and the simulcast of his show on FS1 isn't preempted by World Cup coverage, which I'm not watching. But when it's on, man, I'm watching that show. I'm glued into Colin Cowherd, what he has to say about the NBA. And I missed my boy Rashad, though. I was, I think, here or somewhere else when I missed Rashad and felt so bad about it. But I did listen to it, actually watched it on my phone, I believe, like right after that, Rashad. So I did make up for that. So did enjoy you being on there with Colin. And I know he did a podcast, too, with Chris Broussard, who was formerly of ESPN, now a part of FS1, too, and its NBA coverage.
Yeah, Rashad's got a lot of insight, and so we'll definitely talk to him about LeBron James, Boogie Cousins, the Pistons, and maybe get some insights regarding Mike Davis, the new head coach at Detroit Mercy. But definitely we got to talk about the news that's made over the last weekend. The last 7 days have been filled with talk about LeBron James, Boogie Cousins signing the mid-level exception, taking less than market value to play 1 year with the Golden State Warriors. A lot of people are talking about basketball. What was your reaction to LeBron James going to the Los Angeles Lakers? Are you a fan of it? Are you somebody that's like, yes, finally the Pistons can have some success with LeBron outside of the East? Because of the fact that the deal was for 4 years, you know now for the next year or two, it's going to be the 76ers and the Celtics going back and forth battling for that Eastern Conference spot. But the Detroit Pistons can get in the mix in the next 3 or 4 years without LeBron James being the roadblock to some success.
Yeah, great for the Pistons to get that 8th seed. Well, let's celebrate the Pistons now and have a parade for them, right? I mean, I love how you tweeted that out to you about the Pistons. Well, look at them now. Now they have a chance to make the playoffs. Their playoff odds have increased, and they have really, and I guess their odds of winning a championship have too, because they can get out of the East much more easily without LBJ being in their way with the Cleveland Cavaliers or another team such as the Philadelphia 76ers. He chose not to sign with anybody from the East, going out West for the first time in his NBA career. And I think we knew the decision would be the Lakers, inevitably for a long, long time. I think it almost was a foregone conclusion, even though I think he didn't set his eyes or his mind totally on the Lakers at the end of the season when the playoffs ended for the Cavaliers in the finals this season, as it has the last 4 years in Cleveland for LeBron and the last 8 for himself as a player before the Cavs with the Miami Heat. So this man is used to making the finals. And guess what? He made the decision because of business ventures to increase his entertainment industry, because if his eyes are on the grand prize of winning, hoisting a Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of this upcoming year's finals, guess what? Him going to the Los Angeles Lakers, he's probably not going to make, he might not even make the Western Conference Finals, let alone the NBA Finals. So I don't think he's not going to make a 9th straight NBA Finals appearance. More than likely, he's not going to. So I think this is much more about business, increasing his business endeavors and ventures, and also about really suiting his family, accommodating his family. His son's going to play at a high school in LA, and he's going to play alongside Scottie Pippen's son, all these other former legendary players' sons, Kenyon Martin's son. So all these former NBA players' sons, and then current, as in LeBron, his son too, Bronny, they're all on this one LA high school NBA team, and it's like, it's got to be unfair for everybody else going up against this LA high school team when you're led by Bronny and all these other former players' sons. I mean, God, crazy good that team will be.
Were you surprised that Paul George stayed at OKC? How surprising is that? Many people were shocked initially when OKC made the trade for Paul George, and then people were just naturally assuming, okay, once Paul George has the ability to zoom out of there, he's going to take that opportunity. And guess what? Free agency hit, and it was already announced. He was partying, having a good time with Russell Westbrook, and it was announced he's staying there for basically the next 4 years. He's staying at OKC. He didn't bolt.
It's a 4-year deal for Paul George, and then also, so he didn't even plan a meeting, didn't even get the chance to meet with the Lakers because he just said, I'm going to sign with the OKC Thunder right off the bat. Once free agency opened up, guess what? He signed that deal right away. It was already all signed, sealed, and delivered with the OKC Thunder. So Paul George had all of his free agent meetings and maybe fortunes vanished right then and there, and he was partying and, like you said, living it up with Russell Westbrook at an Oklahoma City-based party the night of when free agency, leading up to when free agency actually opened, which was at midnight of this past Sunday. And you can say that, you know what, he's going to Oklahoma City for Russell Westbrook to play alongside him and staying loyal to him because he played this past full season with the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I guess he liked it enough playing with Russell Westbrook, because right now, who else are they going to bring aboard? And really, they're not title contenders in OKC. They're not going to just drastically become that. Remember, they got ousted in the first round by the Utah Jazz in this past year's playoffs. So do you really think they're better than that now all of a sudden just by bringing Paul George back for another season? And Carmelo Anthony might be out. He was a disaster, really, this past season. He's no longer that third go-to option scoring the basketball. So really, what do they have there? Not a lot to play with for Russell Westbrook and Paul George.
Are you like many that are complaining that right now the competitive balance out west is way different than the competitive balance in the East, and that once the matchups take place, once the Western Conference Finals are determined and the Eastern Conference Finals are determined, the finals are rendered useless because most likely the team that's coming out of the West is going to destroy the team coming out of the East? I don't subscribe to that because I know that the Warriors retooled. They added another all-star caliber player in Boogie Cousins for the mid-level exception. But at the same time, Boston has a chance, if they can get out of the East, to make some noise, if they can play defense and they can contribute. I think they're the next up-and-coming team. Now, is it going to happen this year? Probably not. They got to experience some finals losses, some heartbreak in order to go forward. But at the same time, you got to remember the NBA has been like this for several years now. This is what the NBA is. There's always like one or two dominant teams that you know are out there, and then you got the young up-and-coming teams that are formed to try and take them down. Right now, the team to beat is the Golden State Warriors. They're the team. They're the it team. People want to play for them. And they were built the right way, Vito. They were built through the draft. They got Draymond Green in the second round. They sucked for so long that they were afforded high draft picks. And finally, they went and got Steph Curry. They went and got guys that were drafted. And as a result of winning, then guys want to play for an organization like the Golden State Warriors. They attracted KD. They recruited him, and he came there. And Boogie Cousins freaked out when he entered free agency, and he decided, you know what, I need a contract. I need to be on a team. I cannot take this any longer. I'm freaking out not having an offer or not being on a team. He called the Warriors, and now he's a member of that team. And so, yeah, probably in 2018, 2019, you could pencil in the champions as being the Golden State Warriors. Others are coming up with ideas like, let's just reseed. Let's not have the playoffs involve Western Conference, Eastern Conference. Let's just take the top 16 teams in the entire NBA and 1 through 16, and let's play off. And I'm okay with that if you do want to make that change. But at the same time, I like the ability to be able to build a team the right way and, similar to the Celtics, make moves, make trades, pick the right people in the draft, and go out there and try to compete. OKC is trying to do the same thing. So is Houston. So are the Lakers. And you always have San Antonio right there in the midst. They have a trade commodity in Kawhi Leonard. They can go out there and add and start the process of their next rebuild. But for me, I find the NBA to be fascinating, and I don't get those that complain and call it boring. Yeah, we basically know who the competitors are, but the games were still interesting to watch. I mean, if Cleveland in this series versus Golden State didn't mess up game one, they had a chance to win some games. But at the same time, LeBron couldn't carry that team all the way to the end. And still, Steph Curry had to jack up so many threes. Kevin Durant had to carry the Golden State Warriors. There was a certain level of excitement that I liked.
And the ratings were up last year, too, by like 4%. So the finals might have stunk because it was a sweep. And we can't afford for that to happen again. The NBA can't afford for that to happen again because that was lackluster because it was a sweep. But if it goes 6 or 7 games, and you would hope that it does, like a Warriors-Celtics matchup, well, then you're getting great ratings in the finals as well. And these superstar-laden squads, these have been around since, the 80s at least? And before that as well, the 80s were like the glory days of the NBA with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, the Bad Boy Pistons, all those great squads, Michael Jordan really emerging in the 90s, the early to mid-90s, winning all those titles of 6 championships, going 6-0 in the finals. But these teams that have been good have always had 2 or 3 superstars. They have been star and superstar-laden teams. So this happening now isn't really fresh news. It's not just happening out of nowhere where the Warriors now are this super team, and maybe they are a little bit more than other teams in the past, but really they have one more year to win, one more year to shine, to get a 4th championship. And Kevin Durant might be out of town. He might be jettisoning off to who knows where. Maybe back to OKC, I don't think so, but to Washington, his native Washington, to play for the Washington Wizards. So, that could happen. Klay Thompson might leave for the Lakers. So there is nothing guaranteed here for the Warriors after this upcoming season. Now, are they going to, and should they win this upcoming year's finals and hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of this year's finals coming up? I say, yeah, hell yeah. Look at their roster. They are stacked, and big time stacked, and bringing DeMarcus Cousins into the fray doesn't hurt their odds at all, only increases their odds. But people also have to remember a point that you brought up, that he didn't have any offers. Really, everybody was blocking him and not even calling him up. So he called the Warriors, and Draymond Green and Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Warriors, recruited DeMarcus Cousins. That's why he took that mid-level exception. And basically, that is a league average salary. That's all DeMarcus Cousins is getting paid for this upcoming season. But remember, this 2018-2019 campaign for DeMarcus Cousins, Boogie Cousins, as he's called by a lot of people now affectionately, well, he's going to be out for half the season at least, out until January or February because of this torn Achilles he's healing from. So he's not going to play the full season with the Golden State Warriors. And guess what? After this upcoming season, he's not returning to Golden State. He is going somewhere else on a long-term deal. So really, this year upcoming for DeMarcus Cousins is about rebuilding his trade, his value as a free agent going into next offseason. That's when he wants to cash in on a long-term deal.
Do you blame LeBron James for the emergence of super teams? I know it's a loaded question, but he was one of the first to kind of assemble a bunch of talented individuals when he left Cleveland the first time and went to Miami. And now individuals are starting to pair up. Look, earlier in the week, you had Kyrie Irving trying to figure out how do I play with Jimmy Butler? And these rumors are sending everybody in a tizzy all over the internet because who wants to play with who? Meanwhile, the Detroit Pistons, they're signing, guys from Michigan, former guys.
Hey, Glenn Robinson III, baby. We're getting big-time recruits like that to play for the Detroit Pistons, adding to our supposed big three, which really isn't a big three, in Drummond, Jackson, and Blake Griffin.
But do you blame LeBron for the emergence of super teams?
He started the trend, yeah. I think you can credit him with starting this trend of superstar-laden teams and these trio of superstars on each of these competitive teams that are competing for championships year in, year out, like the Warriors. So really, he started this trend, and it hurt him. It bit him in the behind the last 4 years, having to play the Golden State Warriors, one of the most loaded franchises or teams, you could say, over the last 4 years in NBA history, including this season coming up as well, which will probably bite LeBron in the behind when it comes to the Lakers going head-to-head with the Warriors and trying to beat the Warriors. The Lakers might not even be good enough after they added Lance Stevenson, JaVale McGee, Rajon Rondo. All those guys really, what are those veterans going to really help you do this upcoming season against, even you can say, the Houston Rockets? The Houston Rockets right now are better, are more close to the top of the totem pole than the LA Lakers. So you have the Warriors and Rockets, and I think the Boston Celtics as well, all ahead in the pecking order right now, ahead of the LA Lakers, even with LeBron, equipped with him, that young core, and those veteran supporting cast members, which they have just added on the cheap via free agency.
All right, Vito, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll have Rashad Phillips, Detroit Mercy Titan legend, and now media darling. Can't wait to talk to him about the NBA and maybe get some updates regarding what he thinks about the hiring of Mike Davis over there at Detroit Mercy. Stay with us. Let me tell you about our host site, Podomatic.com. When Adam and I first started this project, we were looking for a great place to host all of our recorded audio. And thank goodness we found Podomatic. Up until this point, Vito, we've recorded 1,000 podcasts since September of 2013, and we wouldn't be able to have great guests on like Rashad without the help of a great host site. If you're starting a brand new project you hear us and you want to interview great guests, you want to talk Detroit sports, we're going to recommend one host site alone, Podomatic.com.
And now with us on this week's episode of Bad Hombres to provide some fresh feedback on all the latest NBA offseason news and notes and transactions is Mr. Rashad Phillips, one of the greatest Detroit Mercy Titans in the history of that college hoops program at the University of Detroit Mercy, and the all-time leading scorer, by the way, for Detroit Mercy as well. Rashad, how are you doing, man?
I'm great, Vito. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on, because I know you're busy now. Your schedule is loaded because you're a media darling. You're doing hits on FS1 for The Herd with Colin Cowherd, doing a podcast with Chris Broussard recently, too. And, I mean, you're one heck of a media darling now, huh?
I guess so. You put it that way.
I think you are, man. You're moving up the ranks. You're doing some big things, and glad to have you on once again this week on Bad Hombres. And let's get right into it, which we have to start off with, I think, LeBron James. Him signing this big deal, choosing the LA Lakers and Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka. Luke Walton, his coach, was drafted in the same draft in 03 as LeBron, which is just crazy to me. And him going there, what do you think is the ceiling for the LA Lakers in year number one with LeBron James?
Well, anytime you think about LeBron James, the first thing you think about is finals appearances. But now that narrative is going to have to change a little bit because of where his destination is, obviously, with the Lakers. Here's the team that finished 11th place last year in the Western Conference. So them getting to the playoffs, I think, will be a huge deal. But a guy like LeBron James won't settle for that. So for me, I would like to see them get into the playoffs as a 5 or a 6 seed with those guys that they got right now currently. And we can see what King James can do from that.
Now, Rashad, the Lakers in the Western Conference, a muddy, tough conference. Even the Utah Jazz are an up-and-coming squad. The Portland Trail Blazers, the Spurs are still there. Obviously, the Rockets almost beat the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals last year. And then Golden State itself adding DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, Lakers at best case scenario, are they the third best franchise in the Western Conference this upcoming season?
Yeah, at best, they'll be third. Just when you add a guy like LeBron James to your team, I mean, he just brings a total different prestige. So I would put the Lakers right at 3, 4 in that range. And there's still things left to shake out on the West Coast in regards to the Spurs situation with Kawhi. The Lakers, from what I'm hearing, they look like they're going to add Dwight Howard probably, and this is a guy that averaged 16 and 12 last year with a block and a half. They're going to make a tough push late in the season.
Now, Rashad, because of the fact that a significant amount of talent is out there in the West, many people are forming complaints and being critical of the NBA, and some have said, look, in order to combat the competitive imbalance, let's reseed and let's not have the Western Conference, let's not have the Eastern Conference, let's just take the top 16 teams and have a playoff where the number 1 seed faces the number 16 seed. How do you weigh in on the competitive imbalance between the West and the East right now?
You have to call it the LeBron factor. It seems to me, and this can be in coincidence, but I don't personally believe in anything coincidence, but LeBron's in the East by himself and everybody's in the West. So to me, at that particular time, it felt like everybody was running away from him because they didn't want to play against him. Now, LeBron has said, I'm going West where everybody else is, and now the East is empty. The East is really full of the younger portion of the superstars, like the upcoming guys are East, and like the older veteran superstars are in the West. So to answer your question on the other end, in regards to the seeding, I actually like the seeding. I like the number 1 seed playing the 16 seed and so forth. I think it gives the NBA a new dynamic. It gives them a new platform and a new way to market the NBA. And it gives guys, teams, organizations another way to compete and play for that ultimate title.
And now how about this stat here, guys? Over the last 4 years, the last 4 seasons, all NBA first-team selections all now play in the Western Conference with LeBron James going to the West. So speaking of competitive imbalance, I mean, it leads right into that discussion. And then the Warriors now, they just added DeMarcus Cousins. And people are just complaining up in arms, up in a tizzy about the Western Conference having too much talent, specifically the Golden State Warriors by getting DeMarcus Cousins, who, as you know, can be a really good 5 when healthy, coming back from a torn Achilles, not going to be fully healthy for the full entire season coming up. But still having him for the stretch run, for the second half in a playoff run, and you would have to believe a deep run there in Golden State. Do you believe that some of these people that are complaining and saying that the NBA is unfair and that Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, should step in and do something about this, do you think it's warranted, what these people are saying?
No, I don't, for the simple fact that it's called free agent.
Mm-hmm.
So the term, we would have to disregard the term free agent if we want to veto a lot of things that are happening. He was a free agent from his standpoint and from his recollection. No other teams were interested in him. That's his own testimony, that the other 29 teams weren't interested in him, and Golden State was the only team that was. Whether you believe it or not, that's what he said until proven guilty. And he went to a team that he can rehab. He's not going to have to play a lot of minutes when he comes back. So that's going to help his health as well. They're not going to lean on him to play 35, 40 minutes so he can ease himself right back into the tenfold and then go for that max deal after they win a championship next year. So I think it's relatively smart on DeMarcus Cousins' behalf because he's operating in a system that LeBron James kind of was who spearheaded that free agent. Hey guys, you can do your own thing. You don't have to give your loyalty to one team. You can open yourselves up a little bit. And I think that that's what we're looking at here.
Now, early on, I'm curious to get your sense regarding who do you think is the next up-and-coming team? Because people are disrespecting the East, and I do believe there's some strong talent out there. I don't think it's fair to disrespect the 76ers. I don't think it's fair to disrespect the Boston Celtics. And me personally, I feel like the next team that could hoist the trophy outside of the team in the West could be the Boston Celtics.
Yes, I like the Boston Celtics' chances of winning, especially when those guys are all healthy. We have to remember that they weren't healthy in the playoffs. They were playing with a couple of backups, like Terry Rozier. He was fantastic in his playoff run, but he's a backup point guard. So I think Boston does have a fair chance at beating any of those Western teams 4 out of 7 times. I mean, Golden State will be a stretch with a healthy DeMarcus Cousins, but the coaching that Brad Stevens has done there and that organization and the guys that they've drafted, you have to take Boston in consideration. When you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, I just think that they're still a point guard away from doing anything special in regards to winning an NBA title. But they're still a respectable team.
And the Sixers might try to make a move for Kawhi Leonard still. The Lakers still might. Now, it sounds like they're going to get him in the offseason, next offseason when he's a free agent. He's going to choose the Lakers. He's wanted to play on the Lakers, so all his focus is still on playing in L.A. So it defeats the purpose of the Lakers dealing from their young core and getting Kawhi this offseason. But maybe a team gets him for that 1 year, tries to win it this season. So could you see him being dealt to the Sixers or Celtics? Or do you think ultimately, if it's not this offseason, next offseason, he lands with the Los Angeles Lakers?
Yeah, I think the relationship with the Spurs is so damaged now that I think they should try to get something for him. But I just don't think the Spurs will trade him to the Los Angeles Lakers because that's only going to set their organization back. So you don't want to help the team next door win championships. So if you're smart, if I'm the Spurs, I'm sending him east and let him play that 1 year. And then when he's a free agent, obviously he'll try to make his way back to LA. But I really think the Clippers is where Kawhi Leonard will end up ultimately. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this free agency plays out.
On the phone with media darling Rashad Phillips for some fresh feedback. And speaking of media darlings, how about Kobe Bryant? KB24 has 2 of his jerseys retired with the LA Lakers, Lakers legend, future Hall of Famer. Does that show now on ESPN Plus that is, I believe, called Detail, breaking down film and highlights. And, I mean, he's a Lakers legend. And do you think he's happy about LBJ moving to the Lake Show? And I think, stealing at least a little bit of his thunder because honestly, and he might realize it in the back of his head himself, that LeBron James is already a better NBA player than Kobe ever was, Rashad.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you here, Vito. When you're an athlete, and especially an athlete of that caliber like Kobe Bryant, you have to feel some type of way when a guy like LeBron James comes into your backyard. But if I'm Kobe, do I feel threatened? Absolutely not. I mean, here's a guy that has 5 championships in one uniform. So I wouldn't feel threatened in that regard, but I will feel some type of way that LeBron James is putting on the Laker uniform, whereas I played for this organization for 20 years. And now you get this younger generation, your generation, Vito. You guys love LeBron. He's you guys Michael Jordan. And I completely understand that. Look, it's like the younger generation has started to try to erase Kobe Bryant's legacy. And I think that's totally unfair to what Kobe Bryant has meant to the game of basketball, because without Kobe Bryant, there will be no LeBron James.
And you know what? LeBron going to the Lakers, I think, reopens the discussion of Kobe being compared to MJ and to LeBron specifically. And maybe people saying that Kobe is better than LeBron, had a better career, winning the 5 titles. 5 out of 7 times he made the finals, he won a championship, where LeBron's 3-6 at this point. And let's see if he even gets the chance to win a 4th. He has to reach a finals, really reach the playoffs first, and then the finals. And it's something to actually look at this in the grand scheme of things and bring up that Kobe Bryant was almost not a Laker for life, was almost a Detroit Piston. And transitioning to the Pistons really quick before we let you go, Rashad, on this week's edition of Two Bad Hombres, where do you think the Pistons stand out now in the Eastern Conference now that LeBron is gone from the East?
They still about 2 years away because they lost they didn't get a first-round pick, obviously, but they got 2 guys that were really serviceable guys like Kyrie Thomas and Bruce Brown that can help those guys tremendously this season. But I think that the Pistons need to maybe get in that lottery next year and see what they really want to do with Andre Drummond. Dwayne Casey's a great hire. He's a great coach, and I think he's going to bring some winning mentality back to the city of Detroit. But I still think we're 2-3 years away from really being in contention and catching like the Philadelphia 76ers, the Boston Celtics. And if you look at the Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks, those are kind of the 4 teams in the East and the Raptors that kind of are ahead of us right now.
Rashad Phillips, kind enough to give us a few minutes talking basketball. And Vito definitely is flattering calling you a media darling. But I would be remiss. I want to ask, what was it like to go out there to L.A., be part of the national media, FS1, doing the tours, doing the shows, doing the podcast? What was your experience like, and how did you enjoy it? And what were you thinking going through that? And kudos to you.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. And it's like when you're in your element, you're completely comfortable and it's fun. And for me, I just felt completely at home. Colin Cowherd, Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, Chris Broussard, Rob Parker, just the whole Fox family embraced me with open arms. And I just felt at home to be around those people. And I have to give a lot of credit to my man Vito. A lot of people don't know this, but when I first started to go into the media type of platform, the first person that kind of gave me my start early on was Vito. When I first got into media, Vito was the person who welcomed me with open arms, and we called some UAD Titan games together on the radio. So I'm forever indebted to Vito for opening up that platform for me. And that meant a lot to me, Vito. So I just wanted to tell you that on air.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, too. And don't make me cry. Very flattering, though, and I appreciate it. Kind words expressed by you. And the sentiment is the same from me to you. I really appreciate all the stuff that you've done for me in the past, starting off with the internet radio stuff that was very amateurish. And look at what you've done since. We went to the campus radio stuff, and now to this and what you're doing yourself with your YouTube show and being featured on FS1. Great stuff, and you deserve it, and you deserve all the best and even more moving forward, too.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We'll talk soon, like always.
And back here on Two Bad Hombres, and, that was something, huh, hearing that. From Rashad Phillips.
That means?
Smile, and it was flattering, man. And
if he gets his own show, he's got to call you up. This is what's
That was
got
really
to happen.
cool to hear that, though, wasn't it? That was very nice. He didn't have to do that, and that wasn't planned. Honestly.
We're going to L.A., Vito.
That wasn't planned. We didn't tell him to say that.
No.
Not at all.
If
That
he
was
gets
not
a
scripted.
national radio show, maybe he'll co-host, for Colin Cowherd. Maybe he's got that in. Maybe he'll get out there on television. Maybe he'll call you up. It'll be Vito Churko and Detroit Sports Podcast on FS1.
Right? Wouldn't that be cool?
That's how you do it, Vito. And Rashad is a guy that we like talking basketball with. Always enjoy the conversation. Always enjoy his insights, especially regarding the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference. Always a good guest. Thanks to Rashad.
Rashad is great to have on. So much great insight. He played it collegiately. He played internationally. And do you know that Kobe Bryant at one point said that Rashad Phillips was the best player to go undrafted, best player ever to not be drafted in the NBA draft?
And now, did you get a chance to see Jaren Jackson light it up? It just burned. It burned me, man.
I bet it did. And actually, you know what's funny? So we wanted to do a segment, Vito's Quickie. That's one of the topics I featured in my Vito's Quickie.
All right, let's get to it.
Ready?
Vito's Quickies, where you hit on some big news and notes regarding the world of sports and entertainment.
He scored 29 points in his summer league debut. How about that for the Memphis Grizzlies? 8 of 13 from three-point range. He eclipsed his points total. Also, his three-pointers made total from his career, his 1 year at MSU. Never did anything. Well, he came close to the points total, I know. He scored like 27 in one game for MSU, but eclipsed that, what he ever did in scoring points in a single game at MSU. Also eclipsed what he ever did in making three-pointers while at Michigan State. So think about that. Jaren Jackson, just a summer league game, but very impressive. And then it makes you start wondering even more, how the heck did Tom Izzo end up playing this big man? Remember the backup big man that played Ben Carter? Played him more minutes than Jaren Jackson in that game, the second round action at Little Caesars Arena.
We
were at the game, live in person, and we saw Izzo play this Ben Carter, a backup all year long, more minutes than Jaren Jackson Jr. I mean, crazy, right?
Yeah, exactly, man.
He played Carter 23 minutes. Jackson only logged 15. Nick Ward only played 16. How did Ben Carter play more minutes than both those guys? Those guys much more talented and standout-ish athletes. Guys that could get it done were more proven. And you have Ben Carter playing in that game, a must-win game, a game where, hey, you're going home if you lose, and they lost. And they went home. They went home prematurely. They were upset by the 11th-seeded Syracuse Orange in front of us and in front of plenty, in front of a home crowd at Little Caesars Arena. So I bet you, man, you were just upset extremely when you saw that from Jaren Jackson Jr. A great summer league debut.
Yeah, and just goes to show you that the only person that can stop Jaren Jackson Jr., Tom Izzo.
Tom Izzo, you're right. Or maybe himself, right? But now, two other topics as part of Vito's Quickie this week on Two Bad Hombres. How about this news that just came out recently, the other day or so? The killer of Tupac. You know who Tupac is, right? Tupac Shakur. Now, his killer has been revealed as Crips gang member Orlando Baby Lane Anderson in a new Netflix doc called Unsolved, the Tupac and Biggie Murders. How about that? In a bombshell confession, here we go. The alleged shooter's uncle, Dwayne Keith Davis, known as Keith D, said he was in the vehicle which executed the drive-by shooting in 1996 when Tupac was murdered. Tupac Shakur was murdered. And Keith D, this uncle of the alleged shooter, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson. Well, Keith D came out with this huge revelation because he has cancer, he said, and said that he has nothing else to lose at this point in his life, dealing with that bout of cancer. So big time news right there. I think we finally know who the killer is of Tupac. And there's been all this news and stories done, documentaries, other ones done in the past about who killed Tupac Shakur. I guess we found out it is indeed Crips gang member Orlando Baby Lane Anderson. How about that nickname, Baby Lane? He did it.
Shocking news, Vito.
Yeah.
Wow, what a revelation.
From an opposing gang.
Wow.
Opposed Tupac and the guys that he hung with when, he was around still, all the way back in 1996. Now, one other quick tidbit from Vito's Quickie this week. How about Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Jameis Winston being suspended 3 games for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy for an alleged groping of a female Uber driver. So because of that, it happened in Scottsdale, Arizona in March of 2016. He is now paying the consequences, just got rid of his agents, by the way, trying to become a new man, I think, and finally willing to grow up. I mean, God, this guy's a veteran passer now in the league. He's old enough to realize he shouldn't have been doing that. And some of the other stuff he's done in the past has been erroneous and shady. And you almost have to believe, is this guy ever going to grow up, right?
Unbelievable. A quarterback is supposed to be a leader of a franchise. And the fact that upset me the most was when the allegations first came out, he denied it. And the NFL probably made a huge mistake in reducing the suspension. negotiating the suspension down from 6 games to 3 sends a bad message. And I do think that right now, Jameis Winston and his time in Tampa Bay is probably going to be looked at very critically. They definitely have to take a serious look because of the fact that a leader doesn't get himself suspended before the start of the season, and it's unfortunate that these things keep happening.
He's a free agent after 2019. Maybe the Bucs go in a different direction at quarterback because of all these latest incidents with Jameis Winston, just bringing down the franchise. It is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well, with every single incident that he is involved in. And I think you're totally right. You have it pegged on the head that, you know what, he should have been suspended for more than 3. And how's it reduced? How's it arbitrated where he gets it reduced then to 3 by the NFL? I mean, Tom Brady was suspended 4 games for Deflategate, for deflating footballs. Think about it. And then Jameis Winston involved in a groping incident with a female Uber driver back in 2016, and he only gets 3? Makes no sense. I think erroneous judgment on the behalf of the NFL.
100%, Vito. You're definitely spot on with that one.
And now, one other thing, Vito's bad tweet of the week. How about this one? We haven't done this segment in a long, long time here on Two Bad Hombres. And then actually we have Danny DeVito. We have to bring up as well as part of my little weekly Little Person of America
appreciation
segment. So before that, though, what a hell of a name for that segment there, implemented by Doc, only by Doc. But I have to bring up this bad tweet centers around center Enes Kanter. Now, you know this name, played with the Knicks last season, big man, and you can say that this tweet is pretty interesting, to say the least. Now, from his Twitter account, at Enes_Kanter on Twitter, he said, Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, has agreed to a mid-level extension with the Golden State Warriors.
That was his tweet.
Did you see that?
Yeah, he photoshopped it. It looked good, right?
It did. With the Warriors uniform that Adam Silver was donning as he photoshopped it to look like that. Then he had the bomb as well for you know how Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, the NBA insider for ESPN, who has all this big-time acclaim, well, it's always a Woj bomb, right, when he breaks the news. He put the bomb, the emoji of a bomb, in his tweet as well, and saying that league sources told him that Adam Silver was signing for the mid-level exception with the Golden State Warriors. And that's a play on words and a slight directed at who? The Golden State Warriors, who just signed DeMarcus Cousins for that same mid-level exception, which once again is typically, only a league average salary. That's all it is. And Cousins is going to Golden State for that league average salary, guys. $5.3 million for a single season.
Yeah, Enes Kanter, a guy that's a good follow on Twitter, but some people have said, look, you might be overdoing it with that one. His tweets maybe have become a little bit too corny, and there's that fine balance of being entertaining and then being a little bit corny. That one's a little bit corny, but we do get the subliminal message, the underlying tone of what he was trying to get at there.
Very subliminal, right? Very, very much so. Now, a brand spanking new segment that you've wanted to have me release now.
This is Little Person Appreciation. Hit me with someone who's a little person and who's done some big things in the world. Who is it?
Little Person Appreciation Week, the first one ever here on Two Bad Hombres. It starts off with celebrity and acclaimed actor Danny DeVito, who has my name and his last name, and I love that, so I love him because of that. And then he's funny. Hilarious on Always Sunny. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Do you watch it on FXX?
I do not
Great
watch
show
it.
to watch. You should check it out. He's on there. He's one of the critically acclaimed actors on that show, which has been on for a long time now.
Is he
FX.
considered a little person?
He is, and I wanted to clarify now. Anybody from 4'10" and below is considered a little person.
Okay.
He is 4'10".
Okay.
Just made the cut. He probably loves it that he's a little person.
Okay.
So he is a little person indeed at 4'10". And here's some other stats that you need to know about Mr. Danny DeVito. Are you ready for this, Doc?
Let's go.
So here's just a random one that just happened. A girl took a cardboard cutout of DeVito to prom this past year. How about
Nice.
that? Really
Very
interesting.
nice.
Which resulted in DeVito returning the favor and posing with the cardboard cutout of the girl, same girl, standing at Patty's Pub, which is the set, the bar that's featured in DeVito's hit show that's currently on FXX. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So return the favor. Sounds like a nice gentleman. With that being said, huh?
And now Danny DeVito is a world-renowned actor, obviously of Twins fame. One of the
Arnold Schwarzenegger and him in that Twins movie, which I've wanted to do and replicate for Valiant, for like John Jansen and I, maybe doing that for a Valiant little hitter commercial spot. I think it would be cool.
How long has Danny DeVito been an actor? Do you know?
Well, you know what? I don't think I have that stat here, but
okay,
I looked up a lot of it via Wikipedia, by the way. But yeah, so his character on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is Frank Reynolds. Love him on that. He won a Golden Globe and an Emmy for his work in the TV series Taxi, which aired from 1978 to 83. He co-founded Jersey Films, which is responsible for producing films such as the iconic and now the film that has a cult following, significant cult following in Pulp Fiction. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
Great movie, right, to see.
Yes.
Now, at one point, he also owned Jersey Television, which produced the Comedy Central series Reno 911.
Nice. He gained prominence for his portrayal of the taxi dispatcher Louis De Palma in the television series Taxi, Before Your Time.
Yes,
that aired
way
from
before my time.
1978 to 1983, which won him a Golden Globe and
an Emmy. How about that?
Yes.
The best of both worlds. Critically acclaimed for that role in Taxi, which was a hit series way back in the day and way before my time.
A major film star, Vito, known for his roles in Tin Men, Throw Mama from the Train, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Ruthless People, Man on the Moon, Terms of Endearment, Romancing the Stone, Twins, like we said, Batman Returns, Look Who's Talking Now, Big Fish, Other People's Money, Get Shorty, Be Cool, L.A. Confidential. Danny DeVito is a pioneer, a legend, and I'm glad you were able to show him some appreciation. Anything else you want to add?
He has done it all. A pioneer for the little people of America, including myself. A guy that, honest, if I wanted to go into acting, I would look up to him. I'm a little bit shorter than him, but he doesn't have many inches on me. I'll say that much.
Okay.
So, really quick, also another big factoid about Danny DeVito, has been married to Ray Perlman since 1982. Now, what is she best known for? I'll tell you. I'll just tell you right now. She is best known for her role as head waitress Carla Tortelli, probably Italian, on the hugely popular sitcom from way back in the day now, Cheers.
Cheers.
How about that? So you knew it once I said her role?
Yes.
So Carla Tortelli, love that name, her character name, and Cheers. He has been married to her, to Miss Perlman, Miss Perlman, since 1982.
Okay, good, Vito. Thank you so much for taking this bit seriously.
Well, I took it seriously for 1 week at least, Doc. I'll give you that much. I don't know about moving forward on a weekly basis, but I gave you Danny DeVito, a big name that I had to speak about.
Okay, like I said, now continue to, inquire. It doesn't have to be as long. Like I said, just got to be a couple minutes where you just talk about prominent little people, and we'll continue this. And like we've said, you've now fully acclimated to accepting that you're a little person, and you have to show appreciation. And so thank you so much for participating in the bit. It's really funny. Good
Showing
stuff.
appreciation to you via the bit as well, and to all those that have come before me that are little people.
Yes.
And I really look up to Danny DeVito. I don't resemble him. I don't resemble him in my looks or physical appearance, but I have looked up to him.
From what I hear,
that.
Vito, you look up to a lot of people.
I look up to a lot of people in my life, no matter what they do or what they've done, which maybe is nothing at some point. Or
all right, Vito.
to a large
Enjoy the
degree.
week of podcasting. Hope you had a good 4th of July. We'll recap all that and more on future editions of Two Bad Hombres. You can follow Vito at Vito Jerome. You can follow the show at Two Bad Hombres. You can follow the entire Detroit Sports Podcast Network at Detroit Podcast. We're releasing content every single day, and it's a great thing. Thank you so much, Vito.
Thank you. And also watch Tuesdays with Vito. Every single Tuesday we record via Detroit Podcast on Twitter. Follow me at Vito Jerome. Glad to always hear from you guys, and we'll speak to you once again next Saturday for another fresh edition of Two Bad Hombres. Adios.
You've listened to another DetroitSportsPodcast.com production.